Hi, I'm Lori with Uplift Parenting, and I am a postpartum doula, baby carrier consultant, and car seat tech here in Austin, Texas. Today, I'm going to be speaking about baby carriers. Baby carriers are just any piece of fabric or fabric and buckles that you can use to wear your baby attached to your body. Now, baby carrying has been around for a very long time. Basically, since we had to move with our babies, there have been examples of the use of baby carriers and baby wearing. Tonight, I'm just going to be talking briefly about the benefits of baby wearing. I'm going to be talking about some super simple tips to help you be successful with baby wearing, and then I'll breeze through the different types of carriers available pretty easily here in Texas. Please note that there are a lot of varieties of carriers out there these days, so this is not an exhaustive list. This is just like quick and easy, just to give you a hint of what is out there. But you can always find me at upliftparenting.com if you have any questions about baby carriers at all. I could literally talk about this for hours, but they've only given me 20 minutes, so hopefully I will be able to keep it in that timeline. So the first thing I want to kind of talk about tonight is the benefits of baby wearing. One of the first and probably the most important benefit of baby wearing is infant development. There have been a lot of studies done to indicate that when babies are near their caregivers, we are helping them build a ton of different senses. They're listening to us speaking, they are moving while we move, their bodies are getting used to the movement of the world, they are able to see our faces a little bit better. The list on this is incredible and so fascinating. The science behind it is amazing. Unfortunately, I can't talk about that for too long tonight, but if you are a nerd like I am, definitely go digging to do some research on the benefits of having baby close to you. Along those lines, baby wearing and the use of baby carriers can help facilitate something called skin to skin, which is where the caregiver and the infant are topless and the baby and the caregiver are resting chest to chest or heart to heart. So all baby has on is a diaper. The caregiver usually doesn't have anything on. And then you can go ahead and put the baby carrier over you and hold baby there. And the benefits of skin to skin are, again, just amazing. It can help regulate baby's temperature, it regulates their breathing, it regulates their heart rate. There's been a lot of studies done on skin to skin and the use of that to help baby with development. And we know that this is really popular for preemies, but the benefits are also there for a full-term infant. And honestly, I did this well into toddlerhood if my babies, not other people's, but if my babies had a fever, I would do skin to skin with them till they became about toddlers. Then they were a little too wiggly for that sort of nonsense. But enjoy those baby snuggles while you can. So skin to skin has some great benefits, and using a baby carrier can help facilitate that. Another benefit to baby wearing is that it has been shown to increase parent confidence and caregiver confidence. So when you are utilizing a baby carrier with your infant or other people's infants, you become more aware of what their cues mean. So what their cries mean, the different faces, sometimes the different wiggles. You get to know all of the little bits and pieces of your baby's secrets or cues, and that can help you become a more confident parent or caregiver, because then you know how to respond appropriately to all of those cues. Also, one of the benefits, and probably one of my favorites, is that it is hands-free. You get hand-free snuggles. So once the carrier is on, you're no longer having to support baby. So you are able to find a more natural position. You're not hunching as much, which we tend to, or leaning backwards, which we tend to when we are holding a baby in arms. The baby carrier can help us kind of maintain a more an easier posture. And it also means that we have the use of our hands, so we can do things like have a cup of coffee or scroll Facebook, or more important things like getting things done around the house or chasing after a toddler, which was my life for a very long time. Finally, something that I personally really enjoyed about baby carriers is that the babies got to come along on all of life's adventures. So baby carriers can go places that strollers might not be able to. So we did a lot of hiking, a lot of festivals, art shows, those sorts of things. You know, before the coronavirus, we did a lot of these things with our kids and our babies, and they just came along for the adventure. So they were there with us the whole time. We were able to enjoy the events. They were able to enjoy the events. If they were walking and crawling, potentially they could get down and explore for a little bit, and then when they got tired, easily put back up into the carrier. So those are just a few of the quick benefits of utilizing a baby carrier. Next, I want to talk about tips and tricks for being successful with baby wearing. One of the things I hear more than anything else is that my baby doesn't like the carrier. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes some babies are not into it, and that's okay too, promise. You'll find your groove with your baby. But a lot of times it's really simple tricks that we can use in order to do a baby carrier or use a baby carrier with the baby. So one of those tips is to practice and get to know your carrier ahead of time. So whatever carrier you choose and you decide on for your family and your lifestyle, get to know all the parts and pieces and how they work. Where do things buckle? How do I attach things? How do I adjust things? If you get to know these things ahead of time, that can help to be successful later. Similarly, practice putting the carriers on without the baby. So give that a try with a stuffed animal, a doll like I just had here, even a little like tiny throw pillow will do the trick too. But get to know your carrier before you put baby in, and that will help you be more confident when you are ready to add baby to the equation. The other thing that you want to make sure that you do is inspect your carrier before each use. It is entirely possible for things to happen in everyday life to your carrier. So one of the fabrics might get caught in something, get a tear, and you didn't notice. I have definitely had some of the buckles from the buckle carriers get caught in car doors and break, and it wasn't until I was about to put the carrier on and baby was already half in that I noticed. So do yourself a favor and just give a quick look over all of your carriers before you put baby in. All right, so the other thing I like to do is to practice with baby. So this is a slow process. A lot of times people reach for the baby carriers when they're already struggling with a fussy baby. And so I highly, highly recommend that you give it a try when baby has just been fed, had a change of diapers, maybe just gotten up from a nap. We're really trying to optimize everybody's kind of happiness, comfort level. And then when you put baby in, it is okay to pause in the process. So if baby starts getting fussy as you're putting them into the carrier, it is okay to pause. Just make sure that until baby is secured in the carrier, you always keep a hold on them. And go ahead and give a little rock, a little bop, whatever it is that your baby really likes. Go ahead and do some soothing for them. I also recommend starting with smaller increments of time. So do this for maybe 5 minutes at first, ease it up to 10 minutes, so on and so forth, so that you're not trying so hard to have baby be happy in the carrier and they're just not having it and everyone is being frustrated and crabby. 2 minutes, put it away if baby is done. Now, if baby's happy in there, go for it. Keep going. So again, practice ahead of time with a baby carrier without your baby. Once you add baby in, do so in a time when they have had a recent nap, feeding, change of diaper. They're generally happy. Start with small increments of time, 2 to 5 minutes at first, or as long as baby is willing and able to stay in the carrier comfortably and happily. And if for whatever reason, baby does start to get fussy as soon as you put them in the carrier, I like the trick of taking them outside. So if you put them in the carrier and they start to get fussy, start your move-in and your patting, and then go outside for just a few minutes. And sometimes just that change of scenery can be really helpful in getting the baby to settle down and snuggle. So those are my tips for success with utilizing a baby carrier at first. So now, in terms of positioning, I'm gonna go ahead and put a carrier on in just a second here to show you. But positioning in a baby carrier is really important. We really want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support the baby. So I like to remind you to keep baby upright, in sight, and snug and close to your body. So upright just means that baby is positioned typically in the middle of your chest right here. Once they're a little bigger, you can do hip carries and back carries, but we are looking for them to be positioned right in the center of your chest. So we can always, so that their spine is always aligned. So that is upright. The baby carrier is supporting them from their bottom, the natural sit spot here on their bottom. And that is the upright position. That's what we're looking for. In sight means that we can always see baby's face and their head. So make sure that we're not accidentally covering their faces with a baby carrier or a piece of fabric. Make sure that they have not slumped down really low so we cannot see their faces. Again, always able to see their faces, nothing covering their faces. Nothing covering their faces. And we call this, in Babywearing, the visible and kissable position, which means that we can easily see their faces and easily kiss the top of their head without straining. So if they're down here and you're having to really work to kiss their head, that's a no-go. We want them up here and kind of that bony part of our chest just below the clavicle. So upright, in sight, and snugged up close. So you know a baby carrier is on correctly if you can, supporting baby's head and neck, bow forward and baby does not fall away from your body. So if you bend forward, once baby's in the carrier, if you bend forward and you find that there's some gapping, baby kind of falls away from your body, then you know that you need to tighten up your carrier a little bit more. Now, there is such a thing as too tight. It's important that you can both breathe. So if you find that you are really struggling or if baby is really arching back, it could be that it is just a little bit tight and you need to loosen it a little bit because your breathing is very important too. But again, nice and snug. We want to make sure that the carrier is supporting their bottom once again and is keeping the line of the spine straight. So we don't want to see babies slump. My baby's not going to slump. I weight my dolls so they don't do this for these purposes. But what we're looking for is to not have this happen. If baby is slumping in a carrier like this, that's not what we're looking for. We are looking for them to maintain that natural C shape of the newborn and then the straighter spine as they get a little bit older, nice and straight. Also, we want to make sure that the carrier is supporting their bottoms. And if it is something like a ring sling or a wrap carrier, we want them to be supported, what we call knee to knee. And that means that the fabric is going to support all the way from the base of one knee pit to the base of the other knee pit. Along those lines, we also like to see them in a deep seat. That's what's going to be supporting them. So their knees are typically going to be a little higher than their bottom. Now I have this baby has plastic legs, so it's not going to work as much, but it's going to look sort of like that in the carrier. So the carrier fabric will support their bottoms and their little knees are going to be up higher. And honestly, with the newborn, they're going to look like that anyhow because they've been usually, mine was frank breech, so we did not have this position down, but usually with a newborn, they've been in a fetal curl anyhow in the womb. So baby will often naturally take that shape anyhow. So again, upright, always in sight, and also making sure that baby is snugged and supported with the carrier. So those are my tips for positioning a carrier. I'm just gonna put one on really fast to kind of show you what it looks like in the carrier. I'm grabbing the ring sling because honestly, I just used it. And so I know it's kind of ready to go. Okay, there we go, ring sling. Let me pull this over. tighten things up a little bit because I used a bigger doll for my last demo than I'm using now. I'm using my newborn doll now to show you guys how to position correctly. There we go. All right. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and pop baby in. You'll notice baby's coming down to the center. I'm going to tuck a little bit of fabric between us, and you'll notice that that creates that seat that I was talking about in the knee to knee. Here, I'm going to tighten up across the back because I noticed that baby was falling away from my body, and that's it. So we can always see baby's little faces. They're in the upright position with their spine supported. The weight is being carried by the carrier down here at their bottom. They are in that knee-to-knee position, especially in a sling. It's hard to see the doll. And they're close enough to kiss. They're not sagging down a little bit too low. So that's kind of the position that we are looking for. That is most ideal. There are lots of other positions, and certainly if there are medical issues or medical concerns, reach out to a baby carrier consultant, someone like me. We can talk to you and kind of do some problem solving because those things certainly do arise, and there are some other options if necessary. But that is the basics of positioning in a baby carrier. All right, so I've gone through the benefits, I've gone through tips for success, and then I have gone through positioning upright, in sight, and snug. Last, I want to go over the different types of carriers very quickly. My timer is telling me I've only got 4 minutes, so we're gonna breeze through this really fast. As you can see, I'm currently wearing a ring sling. It is one of my favorites for the newborn stage, all the way up through the toddler years. It is a one-shouldered carry. Typically, it's used for a front carry and a hip carry. Sometimes it can be used for back carry as well, but that's down the road a little bit. For the newborn, it's gonna be the front carry. Maybe an off-centered front carry a little bit over here more, but not a true carry just yet with a newborn. This is the ring sling. The next option is going to be a buckle carrier. And it is just like it says. It is a piece of fabric, usually a body panel, has shoulder straps and a waist belt. And true to its name, it's got buckles. There are a ton of these on the market. If you're going to be using one of the buckle carriers with a newborn, I highly recommend finding one that has an adjustable seat. That is going to make utilizing with a newborn a little more possible. So definitely make sure that you're checking that out if you plan to use it from the newborn stage with an infant. Buckle carriers are typically worn on the front and on the back. Some of them do support a hip carry, but mostly it's a front and back carrier option. Next, I want to note the Mayday. The Mayday is a piece of fabric. There we go, body panel, similar to the buckle. It has shoulder straps and fabric waist straps, and that just ties onto your body in a similar way as a buckle carrier, and baby is supported. It's great for the slightly older baby, though they can be used with a newborn. Some of them have appropriate adjustments in them, and they can be used on a front carry, a hip carry, and a back carry. The last thing I want to note is a wrap carrier, and I'm just now realizing that I did not bring my stretchy wrap with me. So there's 2 different types of wrap carrier for all intents and purposes, and that is a woven wrap carrier, which looks like this. It's just a long piece of fabric that you can utilize. A stretchy wrap carrier is something with the Moby or the Boba, which a lot of folks are familiar with. Solly Baby is a really popular one here in Texas because it's a thinner fabric. Most major brands have some version of it. The stretchy wrap is ideal for that newborn stage because it is possible to tie it on and take baby in and out pretty easily and can be really beneficial for facilitating that skin to skin that we talked about earlier. It can be used from the newborn stage on up as long as you continue to be comfortable in it. Typically, once babies start really pushing off, it becomes a little bit more tricky, but you are capable of using it a little bit longer depending on your specific infant. The woven wrap can be worn from the newborn stage on up to the toddler years, however long you kind of hope to and want to be carrying your child. And again, it can be worn on the front and the hip and the back. Stretchy wrap is just a front carry, maybe an off-center carry. Woven wrap, nice tight fabric, not going anywhere, can be worn on the front, hip, and back. Whew! I know that was a lot of information, but I am just about out of time. So you can certainly contact me at upliftparenting.com, where I can talk to you about baby carrying for as long as you want to hear from me. I do consults virtually and in person, as well as classes if you're looking for that as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget that Sunday we have doula share. So if you're interested in learning more about the different birth and postpartum doulas here in Austin, be sure to join us on Sunday. You can find the event for that on our Facebook page. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them for you. Have a good night and a great weekend.